Hey, is this thing on? Oh, hey, it's Leon with a quick announcement for you. I'm going to run a contest. I want to see how many reviews we can get on iTunes. So do me a solid, go to iTunes and leave me a review. That's all you need to enter. On August 1st, I will select at random 2 reviews and send you each a $25 Amazon gift card. Cool? Okay. Have you done it yet? I was going to wait here while you did that. So, done? Perfect. Thank you. On to the show. Hey, lovely people. It's Leon, your host, and today I get to share with you a conversation I had with 2 photographers about their pregame and postgame routines, what they do before and after a shoot. I love this topic because people are so creative, and it's fun to hear what comforts them and helps them feel prepared and comfortable. Some come from a systematic, logistical place, and others come from a very spiritual, mindful place, and everywhere in between. I remember seeing a certain photographer routinely post pictures of an In-N-Out grilled cheese sandwich as their post-wedding shoot routine. Another photographer I know somehow seems to find a way to score donuts after every shoot. How cool is that? Others I've talked to sit in the car before a shoot. They meditate, they pray, they envision, and they ask for guidance. All of which I think are fantastic. So here you go. Enjoy the show. All right, joining me today is fashion and commercial photographer Nikki Smith and wedding photographer Lanie Lucas. Nikki, hello to you.
Hi, how are you doing today?
Doing well. Lanie, hello from California.
Hi, I'm excited to be with you.
Yeah, super excited. This is a fun topic. Thank you both for being with me today. I'm fascinated by this topic of pre-game and post-game routines before and after a shoot because I'm finding that the more that I talk to people about them, the more I find that they're just as unique as our own fingerprints. So, can I share with you both my routine when I go to shoot?
Yeah, that'd be lovely.
It's really nothing much at all. And granted, I don't shoot a whole lot anymore, but here are my 2 scenarios. Either number 1, I'm going to shoot athletes at a gym where I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I create content for their social media. So it's, video and photo. We always have world-class athletes coming through and teaching seminars and that stuff. And in that case, pretty much all I do is just make sure I have a card in the camera and grab my bag. There's literally nothing special. And then the other scenario would be maybe once a month I do a commercial shoot, either to create video content for an athlete or a brand, maybe do some corporate headshots. And in these cases, I'm maybe a little bit more deliberate about just checking my gear or making sure that my lenses are clean, cards are cleared off and all that stuff. But really, truthfully, being a busy dad and business owner, I pretty much just rely on a system of keeping all my gear exactly in the same place. Like the gear literally never leaves my bag unless I'm shooting with it. So my pre-game and post-game is pretty minimal. It's not really exciting. I don't really have any quirky things about it. I don't treat myself to anything afterwards. Maybe afterwards I might grab like a coconut water, like a cold coconut water or something. But even
it sounds like you're a lone wolf, dude.
Oh, I know, right? And in the pregame, like occasionally I'll have like, just depending on what the shoot is, if it's something where I really, really need to be on my game, like I did headshots for a law office and there was 5 of them and I needed to crank it out in a short window of time. So I had a little energy drink, but I really have a boring pregame and boring postgame. There's nothing special to it. So I'm excited to talk to each of you about your routines. Lanie, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about who you are first. So tell us where you live, what you do for fun, family situation, whatever else you'd like to share.
Awesome. Well, I am a fine art wedding and family photographer based in DFW. Here with my husband and my 2 girls. I have a 1-year-old and a 5-year-old at home. So home is a very exciting place. And we also have a dog. So I technically have 3 kids then.
Busy mom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So life is always exciting. As a photographer, I am almost I'm probably one of the most paranoid photographers you'll ever meet because I tend to work with families with small children that move quickly, weddings and things that you just can't do again. I do a little bit of fashion, and that's almost relaxing sometimes for me because it's possible to really interact and like slow down and take a step with everybody in a lot of ways. And so I tend to really kind of focus on making sure I have everything I need, when I need it.
How long have you been a photographer?
I started my business in 2013. I've been obsessively an obsessive student of photography for nearly 20 years.
Awesome.
I started to even major in college and got cold feet thinking, I don't have the confidence to do something like that. But I came back to it after my husband had a couple of layoffs, and I was like, by the way, I can do this other thing.
I have a marketable skill. I love it.
That's really
right.
Cool. I love that.
Yeah.
So talk to us about your pregame and your postgame. What are your routines before the shoot?
So I start several days before. With weddings, about a week out, I start my routine prep, and that is communicating, actually having a meeting with the bride and the planners, and we'll go through our kind of game plan. We'll go through and we'll get a list. I'll generate a timeline. We generate what types of portraits we want to do. We'll go over all of that list and find out what's realistic so that we can fit in the more artistic fine art shots that we've planned out, make sure we have time for them. Then as the week progresses, this sounds really weird to most photographers, but I never reshoot SD cards. I shoot once, I keep the card, I file the card. So I always buy new cards, or I have a stockpile. So I'll select cards and I'll label them for the shoot and the time. I get those already a few days out, and then I start charging things and making sure I have at least 3 sets of batteries for everything, especially for wedding
Gotta
days.
have them batteries.
Yes.
Because on a 16-hour day, I will go through batteries like crazy. So I have like a whole case of batteries that I will bring just in case,
Do you actually bring a charger with you to the shoot? Do you ever find yourself recharging batteries on the fly, or do you really just don't want to be distracted with that?
I do also bring the charger. I've only had to do that once, where I've actually had to pull the charger out. And that was actually for, I also do some video. So it was actually for one of my Osmo, my DJI Osmo. We had to keep swapping batteries at one point.
Okay, so let's rewind a little bit, because I think there's something there that maybe people missed on the first time around. You said that you don't reuse memory cards. Did I hear that right?
That's right. Yes.
So talk to me about the size of cards that you buy. On another episode, I was talking with Sage Justice about the philosophy of memory cards. Should you use one large memory card for an entire shoot, or should you use smaller cards for a shoot? So tell me what your philosophy is when it comes to memory cards. Do you go big? Do you go small?
Question.
Yeah. So and also the mindset behind why you never reuse them.
Absolutely. So this goes back to the paranoia.
Okay.
Because I know that I can't get back the time that I've shot. For me, it's vitally important in case of a failure to save as much as humanly possible. So I buy 16 gigabyte cards. I always use SanDisk Extreme Pro, 95 megabytes per second. And the whole point of doing that is so that as I'm going through a wedding, and I will use probably 4 of those max throughout a wedding day.
Okay.
So if I lose one, or one goes down, or a set of cards for whatever reason is destroyed, I can't get something back, I still have most of the images. I mean, hopefully I'm only having to recover one portion of a wedding. And so far, I've managed to recover, in the cases where I've had cards fail, I've been able to recover at least 75% of the images. So theoretically, that just cuts down the risk of failure. So
yeah, I like it. And I kind of like the idea too of having a built-in backup. I mean, people talk all about downloading their cards, but then putting it onto two different devices, two different hard drives, and then in the cloud and all that stuff. I kind of like that you have the cards with all of the images, first generation, and you could always go back to those if you really need it. It's kind of a nice added bonus that you have an extra backup.
That's a really, really smart idea. I might even adopt that. That's awesome.
Yeah. And a long time ago, they were expensive, so it would be really crazy. Right. But I find sales on them to where each of my cards, they're great quality, and I can normally get a card for between $10 and $20. And so if I have a customer that's going to spend $4,500 on a wedding, having a $40 peace of mind is no big deal. So
yeah, totally. Okay, so we need to find you a service that provides a subscription, a memory card subscription service. Set up your subscription, and then you never have to think about it. What about after the shoot? What happens after you go home? And is there anything you do on the way home or once you get home, just to kind of reward yourself and unwind?
Oh my gosh, it's drink water. I always leave myself a giant jug of water in the car, and I just gurgle water all the way home. And as soon as I get home, I hit the heating pad and the ibuprofen and the Tiger Balm. That's totally smart. Boring, but that is the same thing that I do every single time.
That sounds like a great routine to me. That sounds wonderful.
I know. I think
a little spa day after. Get the candles going.
I need candles. I need to add candles to that. That would be amazing.
You know who has the best candles?
Beautiful. Well, Nikki, I want to hear about the types of shoots that you go on, and what are your routines before and after?
Okay, so essentially what I do, I help modeling agencies develop books for their models, whether it's kids, men or women. And then I also do lookbooks, catalogs, e-commerce shots where it's literally like a piece of clothing with a girl's head chopped off and it's on a white background. So I have quite a variety of things that I do. It's mainly based around fashion. And then there's always going to be some products thrown in there. I just accomplished a really cool shoot. It was my very first larger campaign for this brand called Osic, and it's a VR headset company that I probably should take notes from it because I'm just using my little Apple headphones today, but it's a really cool brand. I know, right? I should have gotten a hookup, right?
Yeah.
But it's really cool. Yeah, I know. I should have asked. I've been like, can I get some headphones up in here, please? Leon will be so happy.
I know.
So we just created that campaign, and there were a lot of really cool shots. So in terms of the length of my shoots, it can range from literally an hour to a 10 or 12 hour day. So
wow.
It's kind of interesting because some test shoots only take maybe an hour if the girl's really good. And then for campaigns, it takes much, much longer depending on how much product they have or how much stuff that I need to shoot or the different types of setups that they want to do. And I mainly work in studio, but I'm dabbling in on location now. So I'm expanding my horizons. As far as what I do before, I guess I'm slightly paranoid because no matter what it is,
maybe not quite as paranoid as Lanie though.
Maybe not quite as paranoid. That SD card store sounded very attractive. I will literally, if it's in studio or even outdoors, I will literally grab objects from my house. Mm-hmm. I'll bring it into studio and I'll test any possible lighting scenario that I might have my client request for the next day. So sometimes I'll spend an hour if I really get it nailed down and I know exactly what I want. And other times I'll spend 4 hours or 6 hours. And sometimes I've stayed up till 2 o'clock in the morning, just testing and making sure that everything's dialed in, because that's my way of saying, okay, you got this. You know what you're doing. You went through your routine and you're set. Of course, with every client, I make sure that we have a consultation. There's tons of emails always going back and forth because they'll send me their storyboards or their mood boards or their campaign layouts for kind of the thing that they're looking for. And there'll be lots of phone calls and then making sure getting payments taken care of. But I try not to stress too much about that because that's just routine.
Hey, a quick break just to let you know that this show is brought to you by Essential Edit, editing and design for photographers just like you. Yes, Lightroom editing, retouching, and album design, all done to your spec, your style, so that you can focus on the essentials of your business. Instead of dreading the edit, spend that time booking more clients, networking with vendors, or spending more time with the people you love. It's super affordable, 3 to 5 day turnaround, friendliest service on the planet, and yes, satisfaction is always guaranteed. Let's get you started. Send us some sample images at essentialedit.com. Enjoy the rest of the show. Yeah. So I like that you are basically practicing with objects and you're practicing with your lighting. I mean, you're working in a controlled environment in a studio. And so I'm curious, when you're working with different lighting situations, are you taking any notes on that? Do you just have such a good memory that you kind of remember, or, how does that process play out for you?
It's a mix. So in a sense, what I'll do is I always have my phone with me. So if I finish a setup and I'm really happy with something, I'll take a picture of it because I need that visual of, this was here, this was there. And then what also helps is because since I practice every time before I shoot, I'm getting muscle memory. So my brain's having to think and I'm having to kind of dig deep down inside of there and create, I guess you could say, a database of lighting techniques that I could potentially use. And being able to get your hands on your lights and just take an object like an aluminum can that's very reflective and you kind of have to work with it a little bit. Just giving yourself a difficult situation to kind of work with really helps me remember my lighting. And then also how to position things as well, how to make the shots look attractive at different angles with your camera.
Yeah. Okay. And so let's say you have an 8-hour shoot. It's going well, but you get to the end, you're exhausted. What then?
I cry. No.
You cry?
That'd be terrible. I'm done. Leave me alone. No, what usually happens is I know we've all had those moments where it's like, wow, that was a really long day.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I thought I'm not the only one. Leon's like, yeah, I guess. You're such a big baby. So essentially what I do is I have my team. We pack everything up, which takes an hour, sometimes less, depending on how much gear I've brought. And then we all go out to eat. And essentially what that does, it gives us all a moment to just sit down, take a breather, and evaluate what happened that day. Because there's always something that I want to take away from my shoots, and there's always something that makes me grow into a better photographer and learn how to deal with difficult situations much easier. And whether it's a client that was being difficult, they were just really micromanaging, which I'm fine with. Micromanage all you want. I'm good. But learning how to deal with those situations and then also reaching out to your team and say, hey, how could I have done this better? Or, we should have tried this in the end. And just having that open table communication is really nice while eating really good food and maybe having a beer.
I love that. There's something really familial, maybe even primal about sharing food with people. There's something very communal about that. And I think that no matter who you sit down to eat with, you always go to a deeper level when you're sharing a meal. And I like that. I like that as a team, you guys sit down together and you guys are enjoying, being refreshed and fed, and the lines of communication are wide open. I think that's a great team building exercise.
That sounds amazing. I offer that would be incredible.
Hey, join me. I love talking to photographers. It's what I like about it. I think the most is that you're pumped up with all this adrenaline. And I think we all can relate. It's like after a shoot, you're just like, oh my gosh, I have so much energy. Why didn't I have this during the shoot? And you get a chance to sit down and talk and really absorb the conversation. Unlike if you were talking to someone and just casually talking about it, you literally just experienced it. And you can really learn and gather as much information as you can on how to get better and things that you can improve upon. And then also talk about the positives. That's always something I really enjoy. It's like, if I have an assistant who's never assisted before and they did a really good job, I let that person know, because you want the ending experience to be a positive one, not a negative.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Oh, that's incredible. Good job. Well, high fives to you. Is there anything else as we start to wind down on this conversation? Is there anything else that you guys do that we haven't covered yet? Or alternatively, do you have any friends out there that you know of? And we can keep them nameless. Any friends out there who have some really quirky routines?
I don't know anyone who has quirky routines. I'm the weirdest one of my friends. That's kind of sad.
Okay, I think that's what we're going to call the this podcast episode is I'm the weirdest one of my friends. I like that. Quote of the day. A shirt. It'll be perfect.
Awkward silence.
Yeah, I've seen some pretty weird routines out there, just from simple things like people having, the same meal afterwards, the same meal beforehand, something I would never think to do. Wow. I get it though, but yeah, you get yourself into a routine, you get prepared for something and you unwind from something. I get it. I mean, that would be comforting for some people.
Familiar and like getting yourself into the game. I could see that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As long as it was like filet mignon or,
Yes.
I mean, if you're going to do it, you're going to do it well.
All of a sudden, Nikki's price list just bumped up by $500.
I wish I could charge my
awesome,
clients
ladies.
for that food.
Yeah, exactly.
He was so excited.
I hope to have more of these conversations. I love this topic, and I think that even as a podcast, I could do this episode dozens of times and have dozens of different cool stories. I appreciate each of you spending time with me. Thank you so much, Nikki.
My pleasure.
And Lanie, so nice to meet you. Thank you for joining me today.
Absolutely. I was happy to. Great to meet you both.
Have a great day, and we'll talk soon.